Venom and Sandman's meeting in Spider-Man 3 is a tense, shadowy moment that sets up their alliance. Sandman, weakened, mistakes Venom for Spider-Man before realizing the truth. Venom, in a horror-style reveal, convinces him to join forces, saying, "Together, he doesn't stand a chance." Topher Grace wore a practical Venom suit, but CGI enhanced his monstrous features. The scene was originally longer, showing Sandman with his daughter before Venom manipulated him, making the alliance more convincing. This was cut for pacing, making the team-up feel abrupt to some fans. Despite mixed reactions, the moment set up one of the film's most memorable battles, marking a rare live-action villain team-up. The scene where Spider-Man swings past the American flag before the final battle is one of the most iconic moments in Spider-Man 3. Sam Raimi wanted to emphasize a heroic, larger-than-life feel, making Spider-Man appear as a true symbol of hope. The shot is reminiscent of classic comic book covers, reinforcing Peter Parker's journey from darkness back to heroism. Though some saw it as overly patriotic, for many fans it remains a memorable visual, representing Spider-Man as a protector of the city.
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
During the battle between Spider-Man, Venom, and Sandman in Spider-Man 3, director Sam Raimi faced challenges due to the dark costumes and nighttime setting. Cinematographer Bill Pope had to carefully adjust the lighting to ensure the characters remained visible despite the dim environment. The Sandman's towering form was created using advanced digital particle effects, simulating realistic sand movement and texture. Venom's attacks combined wirework and CGI, allowing for his fluid symbiote abilities to appear lifelike. The mix of practical and digital effects gave the battle a dynamic and intense feel, emphasizing the villain's unique strengths. In their first fight, Venom traps Spider-Man in his webbing and rips off his mask, mirroring Spider-Man, the animated series S1E10. His line, "How's that sound, Tiger?" is also taken from that scene, used both times to threaten taking Mary Jane from Peter. Later, Sandman grows into a giant during the construction site battle, similar to Spider-Man and his amazing friends, S03-01. In the animated series, Iceman and Firestar help Spider-Man, while in the movie, New Goblin fights alongside him. In their first fight in the movie, Venom binds Spider-Man with his webbing and rips off his mask. This scene is a direct reference to Spider-Man, the animated series episode The Alien Costume, Part 3, S01E10, where Venom does the exact same thing. Additionally, Venom's line, "How's that sound, Tiger?" is also taken from that scene. In both instances, the phrase is delivered in the context of threatening to take Mary Jane away from Peter Parker. During the construction site battle, Sandman transforms into a giant version of himself, mirroring a similar moment in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends episode, Spider-Man Unmasked, S0301. In the animated series, Spider-Man had Iceman and Firestar assisting him in the fight, while in the movie, he is aided by New Goblin. Initially, Harry Osborn refuses to help Peter, but after seeing a framed photo of himself with Peter and MJ in happier times, he changes his mind. This is a key difference in the Spider-Man 3.1 editor's cut, where the butler's infamous line about Norman's wounds being self-inflicted was removed. Instead, Harry decides to reconcile with Peter on his own, making his redemption more personal and impactful. Harry's arrival on the battlefield is a heroic moment, soaring in on his glider to fight alongside Peter. His dynamic aerial movements were achieved through CGI and practical wirework, blending digital effects with live-action stunts. His team-up with Peter, throwing him the pumpkin bomb and using his glider for coordinated attacks, adds emotional weight, marking his final stand as a hero. Venom and Sandman kidnap Mary Jane, suspending her taxi high above the city in a giant web. Originally, Gwen Stacy was meant to be the hostage, but the filmmakers kept MJ as the classic damsel in distress. All of Kirsten Dunst's screams were recycled from Spider-Man 1 and 2, rather than recorded anew. The scene blends practical effects and CGI. The taxi was a real prop on a green screen platform, while the webbing and cityscape were digitally created. Spider-Man's aerial stunts combined wirework, CGI, and a stunt double for Tobey Maguire. In the movie, Harry arrives just in time to save Peter and Mary Jane, sacrificing himself in the process. This parallels spectacular Spider-Man Volin, 1-200, where Harry also saves them before his death. In the comic, he originally plans to kill himself and Spider-Man with explosives, but has a change of heart upon realizing his son and Mary Jane are in danger. He rescues them, then races back to save Peter, ultimately dying a hero rather than a villain. Similarly, Venom ambushes Spider-Man without triggering his spider sense, just as in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 of the 300. Since the symbiote once bonded with Peter, it learned to bypass his danger sense, making Venom one of his most unpredictable and terrifying enemies. The movie stays true to this, forcing Peter to rely on reflexes rather than his usual early warning system. These elements highlight how Spider-Man 3 directly draws from classic comics, blending Harry's redemption arc and Venom's unique abilities into its dramatic final battle.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
The final battle in Spider-Man 3 takes direct inspiration from The Amazing Spider-Man number 300, where Spider-Man defeats Venom using sound waves. In the comics, he uses a sonic blaster, while in the movie, he strikes metal poles to weaken the symbiote. The CGI was impressive for its time, making the symbiote writhe and scream in pain. Eddie Brock's refusal to let go of the symbiote, diving into it as Peter throws a pumpkin bomb, mirrors his complete obsession. This recalls Spider-Man, the animated series, where Peter used a rocket launch's sonic blast to separate Venom from Brock. Instead of launching it into space, the movie destroys the symbiote with Harry's goblin grenade, referencing the comics where it is vulnerable to fire. Harry's sacrifice to save Peter mirrors Ben Reilly's death in The Night of the Goblin, Peter Parker, Spider-Man of 75, where Ben also jumps in front of a goblin glider. Raimi, having referenced this storyline in Spider-Man 2002, likely made this a deliberate parallel. Harry's final words, "You're my friend," echo his comic counterpart's last words, "You're my best friend." Despite mixed reviews, Spider-Man 3 was a box office juggernaut, earning $117.6 million on opening Saturday and $151.1 million in its first weekend, setting a domestic opening record. It grossed $894.9 million worldwide, becoming Raimi's highest-grossing Spider-Man film. While some found the final battle overcrowded, it remains one of the most visually spectacular climaxes in the franchise, blending high-stakes action, deep character arcs, and comic book influences into an unforgettable finale.